add up to a big change. July's theme is Rolling in the Deep. By honoring those who have come before us, our ancestors in blood, spirit, and wisdom, we tap into a deep reservoir of resilience, creativity, and love. Their journeys remind us that growth is always possible, even in the most challenging conditions, and their legacy inspires us to live more fully, freely, and connected to all that is. This month we open ourselves to deeper listening, greater compassion, and a more expansive understanding of what it means to live in alignment with the One, cultivating a life rooted in unity, authenticity, and conscious evolution. So to inform us more on this topic, please help me welcome Audrey Beaudry with her talk, Honoring Our Boundaries.
Really good.
Good morning, everybody. Glad you're here. Yeah, okay. I thought we were pretty close to the same height, but okay. So, honor your boundaries. So, boundaries are a way that we take care of ourselves, not with walls, but with clarity. A generative boundary is one that doesn't just protect life, it helps it survive and thrive. It guides us towards healthy ways of adapting. It says, I'm worthy of rest, I'm worthy of respect, I'm worthy of deciding how I will be in a relationship. So, many years ago, probably 2 or more decades ago, I had a life coach. And in our first phone meeting, she asked me how often people cross my boundaries. I could not come up with one example of it being done. The silence on the phone was deafening. In that moment, it occurred to me that people didn't cross my boundaries because I didn't have any. I was raised in a time, maybe some of you can relate to this, when to be a good girl, you didn't have boundaries. I saw them as walls to keep others offended or away, but through writing this talk, I can name them as self-care. That's what we're exploring today. It means to bring a spiritual practice of boundaries that are not barriers, but bridges to deeper love and truth. So let me ask you this. Can you learn to say a wholehearted yes and a wholehearted no? Is anybody doing that these days?
Yes.
Yes. All of life is relationships, and relationships don't happen in a vacuum. They are choreographed by history. As Ernest Hemphill, the co-founder of Embodiment Institute, tells us, we inherit scripts about who is worthy, who is heard, who gets space, and we learn them without realizing it. But something shifts when we realize we don't have to keep performing those scripts. We can begin to choose how we want to be in a relationship, how we want to build trust, how we want to be seen. So if you've seen Reverend Steph's last 2 talks, you would know the book for the month of July is Unground, written by Alexis Pauline Gumbs. And on page 90, if you want to look it up, is a metaphor called The River and the Edge. I'm not going to read it, basically because I did read it and I understood every single word, but then I didn't understand the sentence. You know, I don't do poetry well, but anyway. But I will paraphrase. She writes about standing on the banks of a river, surrendering to the body's boundaries the land is teaching, She says, when we get close to the edge of transformation, fear, or change, if we are open, the land holds us and the water flows through us. What once felt closed and off becomes possible. The danger that once loomed becomes clarity. And boundaries, they're not punishments, they're pathways to our dreams. Ernest Holmes says, learning to set boundaries is one way we begin to manifest the inner life of the Spirit. We are creating a mental equivalent that says, I am valuable and worthy. So how do boundaries come about? Back to Pentus Hemphill teaches that to live outside inherited scripts, we need three things: authenticity, boundaries, and trust. So authenticity isn't about personality, it's about being real. Not perfect, not performed, not curated. When we are authentic, we can begin to set boundaries that honor our truth. Boundaries, as Hemphill says, are the distance at which I can love you and me simultaneously. That's something to wrap your head around. The distance at which I can love you and me simultaneously. Boundaries are not ultimatums, they are not punishments, they are negotiations of care. They say, I want to be in a relationship and I need to be intact. One of her quotes says, boundaries are how we shelter our authenticity. So thinking of negotiations of authentic care got me thinking about what kind of generative boundaries, which means healthy, we could have here at CSL Winnipeg. And just let you know, I haven't vetted this with anyone, so let's see if you agree. The first one, the welcome circle. No one stands alone. Here's an idea I found from another congregation. No one stands alone for more than 5 minutes before someone engages them. So here's a story. A newcomer walks in, unsure they belong. A designated welcome team member keeps an eye out and gently connects with them. Not just with a handshake, but with genuine curiosity. The generative outcome? This is a soft but internal boundary, ensures everyone is seen, acknowledged, and invited into relationship. No one is left on the edges. It signals, you matter here. Here's one we do here. Rotating the mic. We do officially. We do the other one too, but officially. I love that we have the member moments where everybody is welcome to come up to a planned time to share a reading that has touched them. Hopefully, as the congregation grows, we will have all walks of life participating. The generative outcome, having membership diversity becomes a channel for new voices, perspectives, and creativity, helping the community evolve and giving a more inclusive perspective. Pronouns and names are sacred. We honor people's chosen names and pronouns without exceptions. Story. We have at least one member, probably more, that don't go by she or he or the pronouns they were assigned at birth. It sometimes happens that someone forgets and misgenders them. When members forget and misgender someone, instead of brushing it off, we can gently correct with love and say, in this space, we respect how people name themselves. The generative outcome? The boundary builds a culture of dignity, signaling that this is a home for the whole self, not just the part that can form. Here's one I think we probably do. Storytelling over small talk boundary. After service, we invite meaningful check-in questions during coffee time. Instead of the usual surface chatter, people are guided to share about something real. What has been healing for you this week? I'd have to go back and think, what has been healing for me this week? Or where are you being stretched in love? So the generative outcome, this practice sets a boundary against shallow interactions and invites depth and connection, helping people feel emotionally rooted. How much depth do you get when you just talk about the weather and the smoke? Conflict is handled with care, not gossip. We don't talk about each other, we talk to each other with support. Here's a story. Two members have tension after a disagreement in a meeting. Rather than letting it fester and spread sideways, the minister offers to mediate a respectful conversation. The generative outcome? This boundary protects relationship, models spiritual maturity, and makes the space feel emotionally safe and trustworthy, like home should. Or in the last half anyway, or last third. Leaving perfection at the door. You don't have to have it all together to be here. I think we'd be in an empty room if we had the rule you had to have it all together. So this is a true story that happened to me. A parent apologized to me for their young son remarking and dancing during the service. I told her, we love dancing. Apparently, even if you're doing it by yourself, which he was, and he belongs here. As a congregation, no one glared or scolded. The generative outcome? By normalizing messiness, struggle, and humanity, the community becomes a space where people feel they can exhale and be real, and this be a real, true spiritual home. Okay, last two. Rituals that anchor belonging. We start and end every gathering by grounding in our shared values. Whether it's Sunday service, prac meeting, or board meeting, the group takes a moment to do treatment for that moment and for this center's highest and best. Generative outcome. This practice sets a spiritual boundary against chaos and disconnection, reinforcing the identity and soul of this space. It becomes predictable in a good way, like a home that holds you. Are you guys keeping up here?
Yeah, I'm making notes.
Respecting rest. Love doesn't live in exhaustion. We honor each other's need for rest and set healthy times for connection. Story. More than one beloved community member has been calling others off hours. 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., needing to talk, needing comfort, sometimes over an hour. I used to do that to Vivian quite often, actually, until she had a house guest that said, that's too late for somebody to call. So we backed it up an hour, but anyway. So the calls come. At first, people respond out of care, but over time, individuals are worn thin, avoiding calls, feeling drained and guilty. Instead of shaming them, I would like to say, we love you and want to be here for you, but we also need rest to show up fully. Let's find a regular time during the day when someone can really be present with you. You deserve that kind of attention, and so do we. Generative outcome. The boundary teaches that mutual care is sustainable care. It prompts the community's energy while still affirming the members' value. It models love with structure because home is a place where everyone's well-being matters, not just the loudest need. So I'm going to wrap up this talk with a call to action. I'm asking you to practice boundaries, not walls, but as invitations to deeper love, to know where your edges are and know where you begin and where someone else begins. That's not separation, that's clarity. Prentice Hemphill reminds us that our relationships can be freed from historical oppression when we give them more room, when we center and prioritize them. But to do that, we must lay down old scripts, get curious, get real, get honest about the edges. Are you willing to say a sacred no so you can say a more wholehearted yes? Are you willing to set boundaries that make space for healing?
Yes.
Are you willing to believe that you are worthy to be seen,
Yes.
known,
Yes.
loved, without burning yourself out?
Yes. Absolutely.
That's great to hear. So, closing affirmation, repeat after me if you choose. If you don't want to, that's fine too. I honor the divine in me
I honor the divine in me
by honoring my boundaries.
by honoring my boundaries.
I trust that love flows freely when I show up
I trust that love flows freely when I show up
as my whole self.
as my whole self.
My yes is holy,
My yes is holy.
my no is sacred.
My no is sacred.
I am free,
I am free.
and so it is.
So it is.